Hey, welcome back to the Be Fabbo Podcast. Super excited and as always, honored to be sharing some space with you. I'm going to date myself a little bit here when I say, picture this. From the Golden Girls. Maybe many of you watched that show originally or watched it on refunds. I think there's a new remake coming out with like Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, which should be really hilarious if that's the case and it's really happening. I think I saw that go across my feed somewhere. But the original Golden Girls, Sophia used to always say, picture it, Sicily, 1937. So I want you to picture this. You wake up and you grab your coffee and you check your inbox. And right there, sitting at the top of your emails, is a message that throws your entire day off track. Maybe it's a client issue, unexpected bad news, or a major setback in your business or maybe even your life. Your chest tightens, your mind starts racing, your hands start sweating, and that nervousness and that worry and that self doubt and all those things start just building up inside you. And you feel that wave of stress building. Now, I want you to pause for a second. How would the past version of yourself reacted? Frustration, overwhelm, second guessing yourself? Now imagine that alternative version of yourself, the one that takes a deep breath, processes the situation, and responds rather than reacts. Because if you've been with me long enough on the Be Fabbo podcast and you've been listening in and you're in my community and maybe you're one of my coaching clients or consulting clients, you know that the past doesn't define you. Your future is waiting for you and you have to be grateful for right now. So the old you, and we're always working on becoming the best version of ourselves, not that there is anything wrong with how we are now. And we don't always want to be more, but we know that we can offer more. We aspire to have certain things and to have a life that will make an impact and a business that will make an impact. We want to make a difference. I honestly believe that as small business owners and just humans in general, maybe especially in the world we live in, maybe my glasses are tinted, but I truly believe that most of us want to make an impact and want to help and want to serve and want to make life better, not just for ourselves, but for others. So that past person of you, that past version of yourself, prior to maybe listening to the podcast or just growing into yourself, would have reacted differently. So right now, who you are, the one that takes that deep breath, the ones that has learned to respond rather than react. That's the power of mindfulness. Not some complicated meditation ritual, not a bunch of woo-woo spiritual concept, even though I love me some good woo-woo, but I believe there's strategy in woo-woo. But just the ability to be present and grounded and in control. No matter what life throws at you, the bumps in the road, the hurdles that you hit, you are stronger and more Fabbo than you give yourself credit for. So today in this episode 106, I want to break down to you exactly how mindfulness will help you feel happier, handle challenges with confidence, and actually help you achieve more in your business and your life. And I'm going to walk you through some things that you can start using right now. I want you to think about what mindfulness really is, or maybe what it's not. Mindfulness isn't about sitting in silence for an hour. It isn't about awareness and being present in everyday moments. It's about those combination of things. You don't have to sit quietly. You don't have to always meditate, but you need to be aware of your surroundings. You need to be grateful for where you are, and you have to be present. So while mindfulness isn't sitting around waiting and meditating to get calm, it is about being aware of how you can be calm and how you can respond. Why it matters is because most of us live on autopilot. We're constantly reacting or constantly chasing or again, constantly reacting, intentionally responding to something and intentionally responding in a fast way instead of intentionally thinking about it, pausing and just thinking for a moment where we are. What can we control? How can we take this email with such tragic news or that road bump or a client being upset? How can we stop for a moment and think about how what we talk about, how we go after it, how we solve it will benefit not only the client and the problem, but ourselves as well. Now, how mindfulness can transform. I want to share a little bit about, I have a client. Many of you know I have some female athletes, love my sports, right? And so I do have quite a few entrepreneurs, but I have a handful of entrepreneurs that are also sports people. So Alex is a talented collegiate softball player, and she has this fierce drive to win. She has been playing softball her entire life. Since childhood, she had been the kind of athlete who had thrived under pressure. Until a few months ago, pressure started working against her. As her junior and senior in high school, and the expectations had never been higher. Recruiters were watching her. Colleges were coming at her. She knew that this was her next big step. And while pro softball isn't really around per se as it used to be when I was younger, when we had it in the Olympics, it is coming back in the Olympics. But right now, it's getting that coveted college scholarship. So you can get those NIL deals while they're still around, right? So we want to make sure, she wanted to make sure that she was living up the possibility that had been all her whole life. Her whole life was get to this point. Recruiters were watching. The team was counting on her. And she had more and more pressure on herself than ever before. And guess what? The game was becoming not fun. Something was shifting. Her game was slipping. She didn't have that enthusiasm for the game. She was more distracted by what she had to do, what she thought people expected from her, and how she thought she had to show up to impress those watching instead of playing for the love of the game and for her team. She found herself overthinking every single play. One mistake at bat turned into a mental spiral that carried into the rest of the game and games to follow. She was focused so much on the outcome that she started striking out, getting tossed out, dropping balls in the field. And she knew that the scholarship offers might be affected. And then her grades started slipping. She had lost the ability to stay present in the moment and do what she was doing and remembering why she wanted to play this game. Now, ultimately, if you're a strong athlete and you have some really good talent, you know that getting a scholarship, regardless of your sport, is an ultimate goal. And more people go pro in professional careers than they do in sports. You all seen that commercial, and it's a reality. More people go pro in a career than become a pro athlete. But she was so focused on the outcome that she was slipping in the moment. After one particularly tough game where she struck out in the final inning, her frustration spilled over in the dugout. She was mad. She was throwing her helmet. Her energy, her anger, everything was swelling up, and it wasn't who Alex was. She knew, and those around her knew, that something had to change. That's when we introduced mindfulness in her training. The shift? Learning to stay present instead of playing in the future. Play for now. Play where you are. Stay where you are. Be grateful for, be grounded in where you are. People are coming to watch you because of what you know how to do, but you have to do what you know how to do because you love what you know how to do. People will see that this is your passion. You're talented. This is your God-given ability. And you're going to get that scholarship. You're going to get whatever it is that you're going after because of your passion. You still have to have that purpose, and you have to remember that why. And you can't get so overwhelmed in the big picture of what if I fail? What if I don't lead? What if I don't get a scholarship? My parents have spent all this time. They've invested all this time and this money. My family, my friends. I've given up so much. What if I fail? She had to start practicing micro mindfulness techniques. She began a pregame workout where she would do breath work, 3 deep breaths before stepping onto the field, reset her nervous system. When she got at bat, she had that focus cue. Instead of analyzing and clocking and watching and trying to figure out every ball that was going to be pitched to her, she trained her mind to lock in on the one thing, to feel the bat in her hands. This is what it feels like when I swing. This is how it feels. It's loose, it's tight. I'm going to connect with the ball instead of, here's the ball coming in. What if she throws me a strike? What if she throws something outside? What if she throws what the pitcher is trying to knock me out? She had to stay in the moment and lock in on just feeling the bat in her hands. Post-play reset. She didn't dwell anymore. She stopped worrying about the mistakes. She left it on the field. And my friends, I used this strategy when I was a wedding photographer and I was an event photographer. Whatever I was photographing, I made sure my team and myself, we gathered at the end and we left it here. We got in our cars and went on. Yes, we had mistakes. Yet we have successes. We had stumbles. We had, oh my gosh, the best ever wedding we've ever done, the best ever event we've ever attended. The team was wonderful. We also had, oh my gosh, we could have done that better. But we left it there. We got in our cars and we went home to our families and we let it go. We left it there, and then we would regather the next time to talk about it. No more thinking about the mistakes or what could have. After every play, Alex began taking that single deep breath that mentally said next. And I want you to do that too. At whatever it is that you have, your next wedding, your next event, your next job, whatever it is, when you're done, I want you to gather up at the end and say next. Be grateful for the opportunity, learn from your mistakes, celebrate your wins, celebrate your losses, and move on. The result is confidence, composure, and a stronger mental game. Now, it's not going to happen overnight. It didn't happen overnight for Alex. But within a few months, she began to feel more transformation in her game. She saw the mindset working. She saw her mindset believing back in herself. She believed in what she could do instead of what if she couldn't. She believed in, I'm going to accomplish this. I'm going to go out there and have the best game that I'm meant to have today instead of what if I don't have a good game. She played with more confidence, knowing that she had control over her mental state. She no longer let one mistake spiral into a game that was just horrible, where she would almost take herself out. And she started enjoying softball again, the sport that she grew up playing from little bitty with her dad, into all through Little League, all through all the selective sports, all the way to high school and all the way to college. She remembered why she loved it in the first place. And the best part, she began to skyrocket. And so will you, my friends. No longer overthinking anything at the plate. No longer overthinking what's on your plate. No longer overthinking what all you have to do to get a project done. Be like Alex. Be at the plate. Feel the bat. Feel the job. Feel the energy. Know what you have to do. And then you can start leading your team. Because of your calm and collected energy, they're going to feed off that. Your enthusiasm and your happiness and your joy, they're going to feed off that. And my friends, so are your clients. They're going to see that you're calm, cool, and collected, and that you know what it is, that you're the best person for the job. And that's why they hired you. Be the best person for the job. Feel the bat, feel the camera, feel the airbrush, feel the floor, whatever it is that you do, feel that and remember your why. And like Alex, recruiters began noticing her. Clients will start noticing you. And her improved consistency in mental health, not just her stats. She became more valuable to herself. She began believing in herself even more. And you can do that too, my friends. Believing in yourself. Your improved consistency because you stop overthinking. Clients will start seeing, clients will start coming to you. Finish the job that you're on, be in the game that you're playing today, and now don't worry about what's coming next month. Be seen, be professional, let others see how you work. Let others see and feel how you love and you're passionate about what it is that you do. But don't get so far away from the game that you're in. The takeaway here is that mindfulness isn't just for meditation. It's for game time. It's for your job time, for your career time, your project time, whatever it is that you have to be doing. For pressure moments, for business decisions, for everyday life. When you train your mind to stay present, you don't just perform better, but you'll feel better too. Now, how mindfulness helps you handle challenges and uncertainty. It's a mindset shift. Most of us are wired to immediately react when things don't go our way. Mindfulness will help you create space between the events and your response. Here's another example. I know for a fact that many of you probably have rented and done some things. And it may have a studio or a creative space or an office space that you work in. So I want to share another story about a business owner that navigated the rising cost without panic, the rising cost of their rent without panic. Samantha is a creative entrepreneur. She's a photographer, very successful, loves what she does, and for years had built a very long clientele. They loved her work. They loved that her studio was close by. She was a pillar in the community, and that she finally felt that she had found stability in her business. 6, 7 years as she was working in this community, it grew and grew and grew. She was able to do outreach. She was able to expand a little bit and get a space next door and offer a different service with her photography. And then the unexpected happened. The landlord said, hey, we've been undervaluing this area, and we are going to have to start paying more taxes and more everything. The landlord had a reason for everything. But ultimately, they were going to raise her rent 40%. Now, like many of you, that number felt impossible. For many of us, that would be impossible. She immediately began starting to panic. She immediately thought, oh my gosh, how am I supposed to afford this? There's no way I can create enough profit, enough clients, enough flow in my day. There's not enough time in the day to do the things I want to do to generate 40% more profit. Maybe I should shut down. Maybe I should move, look for a new space. But now I'm going to be shut down while I move. I can't afford rent on both places. What if I lose clients because everybody talks about me being so close, easy to get to, free parking, etc., etc.? Anxiety took over every decision. She was frozen between fear and frustration. Every time she walked into her studio, instead of feeling inspired now, instead of feeling excited, and loving the fact that this is a place she's come to for 6 or 7 years, she now felt dread. It was the gray space. It wasn't that white, bright space. And it started trickling over into her calls and her conversation and her emails, how she was walking around the community. That gloom was around her and was over her head. She felt trapped in reactive mode, spiraling into all the worst case scenarios that we often do. We start telling ourselves these horrible stories that are falseness. We're not able to do this. We can't accomplish this. I guess this is over. It wasn't meant to be. We start talking to ourselves like this. Friends, there is enough noise in this world. You do not need to be one adding to something you can't do, or something you're not made for, or telling yourself you're not worthy. There's plenty of people that will do that for you. Don't be one of those people. Don't get stuck in reactive mode. Don't get stuck in worst case scenarios. Before making any rush decisions, I want you to pause. Instead of jumping into that panic-driven action, I want you to commit to mindfulness. The shift here for Samantha, she went from panic to clarity through mindfulness. She gave herself space to process. She took 1 week where she didn't react, only observed her thoughts and her emotions. Now, she kept notes. She kept pros and cons, moving and staying, ways she could adjust something, some new services that she could handle. She started finding the momentum of good versus the momentum of bad. She found more pros than she did cons. She was journaling every day because she was in control of that. And in her journal, she wrote, this is what I can do, and this is what I can't. This is what's in my power, and this is what's not. That's not a mind shift. That is you sitting down saying, this is what I can control. I'm going to focus on that. And this is what I cannot control, and I'm not going to let it deter me from moving forward and doing what I believe I'm here to do. She practiced decision-making mindfulness, asking herself, what would my most confident, grounded self do? What would my most ambitious person do? What would the person I am today do for tomorrow? Not who I was. I paid blood, sweat, and tears to get me here for 6 and 7 years. I've paid the way to build my business. That's what you're doing every day. If you're a small business owner, every single day, blood, sweat, and tears. And you start seeing the payoff and something might happen. I don't want you to panic. Maybe you've been in a career for a long time and cut downs are happening, layoffs are happening, and you've built and you've given this company all of your best years in your head. You're telling yourself this. You got more to give. And I want you to really start practicing, what would my most confident, grounded self do? That simple mind shift. And I know it sounds simple, but it really is once you start practicing and believing and shifting your mindset. I want you to allow yourself to see that you had completely missed an opportunity if you kept panicking, because there are options. The result, a strategic, mindful business move. Instead of rushing into cost cutting or moving your entire studio, Samantha began exploring creative solutions. Remember, you always have that choice too. If your name is on the door, you get to call the shots. Some of your clients might not like those shots, but your clients want you to be there. They want to be able to support you and get your services. So sometimes making hard decisions, if your name is on the door, adulting is hard. So is being a CEO. You have to start exploring solutions, and you can do that. Samantha ended up negotiating with the landlord, and while they could not budge on rent, he did offer her a longer lease with better flexibility on payment terms. So she got more for her money in the short term. It's going to cost her about the same amount of money. He just extended the lease and gave her better payment terms. She evaluated her business model, realizing that with a few small adjustments to her pricing structure and packages and removing some things that weren't making a profit, being brave enough to say, nobody's been using these. I'm going to slide these out and offer something as a welcome to the studio, get to know me, but not a freebie. Something that says, hey, I am worth this. I'm talented. Samantha knew that if she offered some new headshots, some new projects, and some new products, it would bring in some new revenue streams. She began adjusting her pricing and packages so that it could make up for the rent increases. Profitable new revenue strip. She offered small group photography workshops. She started having mentoring and having people come in. She started renting out a portion of her space to have other creatives come in. And she started holding mentoring meetings so that people could pay a small fee and come in and brainstorm. There's all kinds of ways that you can think of that don't have to put you in a panic mode. There's ways that you can think of to be creative and be different. You just sometimes have to think outside the box. Don't get comfortable with what you know how to do. Remember, you know how to do more. You're capable, more capable than you think of. 6 months later, when I checked with Samantha, she's not only still in business, my friends, but she is more profitable than she has been. And we continue to work on other projects for her and making another move and growing her business. She's going to be adding to her team. So what really changed? And what can change from you? She didn't act out of fear. So don't you act out of fear. She created a space for better decision making, and you can do that. Don't panic. She trusted in her ability to adapt. It took a while, but she really began to trust in her ability to adapt. And my friends, you need to have that and trust in the ability because, like I said earlier, you're already more capable than you give yourself credit for. You can adapt. When something hard comes at you, don't panic. Sit with yourself, and know that you were given this issue, this problem for a lesson and a reason, and you will come out on the other side of it. The takeaway is mindfulness isn't about ignoring reality. It's about giving yourself the mental space to make clear, confident decision. When challenges arise, you can either react or respond, and the difference between the two can change everything. I'm going to give you 3 simple ways to use mindfulness daily, even if you think you're too busy. This might be a little woo for you, but it really does work. I know when I get ready to go on stage to speak, I take a few moments and I simply do my breath resets. I do 3 breath resets, 3 slow, deep breaths. Resets me, calms me down. I'm full of energy when I go on stage. I go running out there, especially if I'm emceeing. I really want to light you up. I really want to get you off your feet. I need to be calm in my energy to do that for you so that you can get up in your energy and get ready for the day. Mindfulness transitions. Instead of rushing from one task to the next, when you get some news like this email, don't just rush. Just sit for a minute. Take 30 seconds to pause and set your intentions for what you want to do next. And then I want you to do an end of the day awareness check. Even if it's before bed, I want you to say to yourself, what was one moment today where I truly felt present? One moment today where I really felt I stood my ground and made decisions that were best for myself, my family, my community, my clients, my business. What was that one moment today where I was truly present? This will help rewire your brain so that you seek more being in present times. You don't need an hour of meditation, but you need small, intentional moments of presence throughout your day. Here's the thing, my friends, here's the thing. Life isn't slowing down. The world that we are in right now is spiraling, and I don't know when we're going to get it back. But we don't need to follow that downhill. We're going to be pushed down the hill anyway. Let's try to hold our space and continue moving forward. Challenges are going to keep coming. Challenges will always be. There will always be something. The minute you think you have made it and can breathe, trust me, life happens. But remember, life happens for you, and not to you. The unexpected will still happen. But if you can get into the habit of practice mindfulness, you will become someone who moves through life with confidence, clarity, calm, and not chaos. So this week I want to challenge you. Try one of these 3 mindfulness practices, just one, And then don't forget to let me know what you noticed. Don't forget to tag me on social media or send me an email, send me a text, send me a box or whatever you want to do. Let's keep connecting like we do here in the Be Fabbo community, the motivated Be Fabbo community. I want you to succeed by your definition on your terms. When you want to, take a break. But let's share in starting to become more mindful and have more mindfulness. I think it's going to help us move forward, stay where we are, and just take action. Even if it's to take action is I'm going to just sit for the next 30 days and not make any changes. I'm going to sit with this idea. Remember, in the other episode, I talked about 72 hours if you have a new idea, right? Don't let your someday, right, be today. Today needs to be your someday. And of course, if you want more mindset, motivation, momentum, don't forget to sign up for the Be Fabbo Week newsletter. You can get that in the show notes. And also, do me a favor. This is where I get to ask you about being mindful. If this episode has brought you value, please share with somebody. Please share it on social media. Tag me on social media. Take bits or pieces out of it. Help me continue on my mission to empower and help others. I want you all to succeed to the level of success that you want to succeed at. I want you all to find purpose and passion. And remember, if you're doing what you love, it should bring you profit, purpose, and joy. I'm your champion of your happiness and your joy. I'm here to help you with mindset, motivation, and momentum. I believe in you. And if you share this episode in the podcast or anything here about the Be Fabbo community, it will help me continue on that mission. And together, we are empowering so many others, but we're doing it together. So till next time, my friends, remember, you're more capable than you give yourself credit for. You're already Fabbo, and you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Take that with you, my friends. Peace, joy, and gratitude.